You're listening to Level Up with Wondr, a podcast where we take listeners on a journey through the exciting world of gaming, tech, and innovation. Join the Wondr Nation team as we talk with a diverse group of pros who have taken their skills to the next level.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Level Up with Wondr. I'm Deani Marvo, Vice President of Marketing, Strategy, and Operations, and I am here with Jeff Gray, the CEO of Lean Revisions, for a very special episode. We are recording this in February, which is Black History Month. We're welcoming our partners from African Americans in Gaming, also known as AAG, for a takeover with 2 interviews, which will be hosted by Jeff. In this episode, we will speak with Darnell Johnson, Vice President of Product Management at IGT, and Rose Hudson, President and CEO of the Louisiana Lottery Corporation. 2 leaders with over 20 years of experience in their respective industries. Thank you to AAG for this partnership and to Jeff for serving as our guest host. Thank you to our amazing guests and to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you enjoy these conversations. So, Jeff, I am handing it off to you.
Thank you, Deani, and welcome everybody to this episode of Level Up. My name is Jeff Gray, and I'm a partner with the AAG. I am the CEO of Lean Revisions. These couple episodes are going to be taking you through some of the challenges that we're having in the African American gaming community. We're going to be talking to some leaders to share some nuggets of knowledge on how we can be prepared for the changing markets out there, our strategies, and some things we can do to help each other in our community, especially during Black History Month. So welcome aboard and join the show. Welcome to Level Up with Wondr, the AAG Takeover. Today we have Mr. Darnell Johnson, one of the VPs of IGT. Welcome, my friend. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Jeff. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. You know, we talk about everything under the umbrella of Black folks in the gaming and hospitality industry. And today we're going to talk to Darnell about his experience, some of his challenges, what his vision is for the industry. Before we get started, I want to welcome Darnell. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend, where you are and where you've been?
Absolutely. I've been living in Las Vegas for the better part of the last 20 years. I've been in the gaming industry about 25 years. I worked for a couple of different manufacturers as well as operators over the last several years and seen a lot of growth and change within the industry that I'm really excited about. I think I'm really encouraged by the trajectory that our industry is moving towards. I think it's very, very positive.
What do you do exactly at IGT?
So my role as a vice president of product management is that I oversee 2 business segments. I oversee and manage the video poker business segment, and I'm also involved with the sports betting when it's in a casino gaming environment tied to our slot machine. IGT back in 2017 showcased a product where we actually had the ability to go ahead and place sports betting wagers actually on a slot machine. So I'm managing that product as well.
That's interesting. You put it right on the slot machine, so they don't have to go anywhere.
So to speak, yes.
That's when my mom was getting hooked on that stuff. She didn't have to leave the chair.
So I can share a story. When I first moved to Las Vegas, I'm originally from Northern California, and eventually I knew that I was going to have my parents move closer to me. Growing up as a kid, we would constantly go up to Tahoe or Reno.
Yeah.
I'd be getting a wad of quarters to play arcade games. My mom would go off some other place and I'd see her later. So for Mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to move you to Vegas with us, but do not have Albertsons give me a call while I'm at work because my mother won't get off the slot machine. I don't want to get that cost, right?
Yeah, that's like my mom. We had to pry her away. On Mother's Day, we'd be there 9 hours. It's like, Mom, let's go. No, one more.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool. So you've been in the industry 20 years. So you've seen a lot of things change with innovation. How did you go about doing some of those things? What were some of the challenges of the changing markets?
It's interesting. Again, I came in at a time where we were probably considered not the most innovative business segment, right? I work in the Bay Area. I worked for several different .coms and consulting companies that were utilizing latest technology. When I got into gaming, I struggled a little bit initially because there wasn't that same level of adoption of technology at that point in time. The gaming industry has a lot of ties to the government side of things, and they don't always adopt technology as quickly as other segments. So that was definitely a struggle. But the change that we've seen over the years is the market is adopting technology a lot faster than before, right?
Right.
Transitioning to cloud services is something that the industry is really doing in a very fast pace right now. Some of the other things in regards to leveraging just normal day things that we do in our own normal lives, such as paying for things with a credit card or
Right.
utilizing your
Right.
phone to pay for things. Those type of technologies are starting to be adopted in the gaming industry. And that's
Right.
been really, really cool and interesting to see that happen.
So, do you see a lot of Black-owned vendors in this arena with the new technology, or there's a lot of suppliers?
So not as much as you would like to expect,
So,
but there's definitely opportunity. I will say this though, the gaming industry as a whole is very much a regional type of attraction. If you're in the West Coast, you may not see as much, but if you're in the South area, you'll see a lot more Black-owned vendors involved. I know IGT and a few other manufacturers have been trying to encourage and bring more about working with more diverse vendors. I'm encouraged by that. We're probably not doing the job that we need to do yet, but there's definitely movement in.
yeah, so there's opportunity. I've been to many trade shows and I've met Black owners. They manufacture slot machines or little things here and there. But as far as the industry, there's a lot more opportunity as long as we know where to look in. So that's really good. Being Black in this industry, and this is about African Americans in gaming, what kind of challenges are there right now? And how do you see maybe what we can do within the industry to knock down some of those barriers?
Yeah, I mean, being a Black individual working in gaming is challenging. I'm not going
Yeah,
to sugarcoat it. There's not a lot of people of color in the gaming industry, so it's a relatively small community of us. AAG was established to try to go ahead and bring more awareness and collaboration amongst people of color for the gaming industry
yeah,
and ensure that we have our voice and say in regards to things. So I really appreciate the leadership team and bringing this organization together. But again, it's tough. A lot of situations, I'm the only person that looked like me in a
yeah,
business meeting or in a conversation. At the same time, I experienced this for quite a long time. So it's somewhat numbing
yeah.
at times. I have a younger brother who was just getting in the corporate industry himself. And he had mentioned to me one time, he was like, so how do you handle it? And like, handle what? He says, just being the only person that looks like you in a room. I was like, you know what? You're right. A lot of times what happens,
Right.
and I have to navigate it a little bit different depending on the situation I'm in. It's just
Yeah.
reality right now.
I live out here on the West Coast. I've been in the same room. You kind of get used to it. That's the way it is as you move up the ladder. But I think also you get peers and mentors and colleagues, and you talk about things and opportunities, and you just make sure you're ready to take on those challenges, and we'll get there by helping each other out by these organizations like this, where we share those challenges and how we maneuver through the waters, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Jeff, I think having a mentor is a big thing. It's definitely helped me throughout my career. I started off initially in the gaming segment as a test engineer and worked my way up to where I am right now. And every step of the way, I had someone be a guiding force to help me understand what my potential was and help me address how I can go ahead and break down those barriers to hit the goals that I want to go ahead and achieve. So having a mentor is a big part of how people can achieve the goals that they have in place for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Going to networking events and just meeting people and being prepared and educated and always looking for opportunities. In your journeys, are there any nuggets of knowledge that you'd like to share with folks, no matter if they're just starting in or they've been around for 20 years like yourself? What kind of things would you like to share on being successful in the industry?
One of the things I often tell young people that I
Yeah,
interact with is don't be afraid to fail. I've learned more from every failure that I've had versus any success that I've had over the last 20, 30 years in the professional world. I had this conversation with my son recently because he was in the midst of transitioning professions. And he was
right.
really concerned because he just became a father. He just wanted to make sure that he was going to be positioning himself where he's not going to be causing any risk to his family. And I told him, I get it, but it's never a bad thing to take calculated risks.
Yeah.
It's going to strengthen you. It's going to broaden your horizon. You always want to go ahead and take shots. You never really know. I mentioned earlier about the importance of having a mentor. That's definitely something I would strongly recommend. A mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone in a higher position than you're in. It can be a peer. I've had a lot of mentors that have been my peers over the years, and they help me look at things at a slightly different lens from time to
Yeah.
time that can
Yeah.
help me navigate those waters a little bit differently than I probably would. So,
Yeah. If we're always looking at things the same way and getting the same results, we need to fix that. We need to change that. If someone's looking to get into the industry,
yeah.
are there opportunities you see that are more approachable to get your foot in the door than others? What should they be thinking about? Technology, hospitality? What do you think?
Look, I think that the door is open for all areas right now. I would say that a lot of the companies went through a DEI initiative over the last couple of years that
Right.
really tried to go ahead and create some level setting
Good.
and giving more individuals an opportunity. I know that some of those practices in certain areas are starting to get rolled back a little bit, but there's still a lot that aren't. I know in the gaming side, specifically on both hospitality and technology side, there are opportunities everywhere. I will say this though, and the gaming industry is a bit of a good old boys network. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily always what you know, it's who you know. So leverage your contacts and your resources to help you get in the door. Once you get in the door, let your personality, let your knowledge carry you much more.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. That's part of that ceiling we run into, getting in part of that club. What things and myths should people look out for? You just said the good old boys club. People think that's a myth or it's not. But what other kind of things they should maybe, weed through if there's already other challenges or things?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I've seen people disregard working in the gaming industry because of its nomenclature or just the feeling of it's the bad industry, the bad crowd, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Gaming is a lot more than what people think, right? People assume that it's all about making slot machines and working at a casino and all that type of stuff. A lot of it is part of that. But there's also a lot of technology tied to it, right? I
Yeah.
would have never initially thought that I would be able, from a programming perspective, to engineer a piece of software that would have a protocol to communicate with a broad number of machines across the landscape and think that that would be relevant and important. That's a very similar type of approach that someone takes when they're
Right.
working in aerodynamics, right? In space
Right.
aerodynamics specifically,
Right.
is the ability to communicate to a number of different entities to create one function. That's exactly what we do and what's referred to as our wide area progressive gaming. We're communicating with multiple machines to act as one to provide an experience to an individual or individuals. It's something that you would think that is not associated to casino
Right.
gaming, but it
Right.
very much so is associated to casino gaming. Prior to getting to casino gaming side, worked in the video gaming industry as well. I worked for both Sony Computer Entertainment and Sega when I lived in the Bay Area. That was one of the things that helped me in my career, seeing that they were a lot of similar things I did in the video game space that I was able to bring into the casino game space. So
Yeah.
don't think that you need to have a background in the casino space or the casino gaming space. You can leverage, and I've seen a lot of people be successful coming outside the industry, being
Yeah.
just as successful or even more successful coming into.
And that's great. And that leads back to what you tell your son, take that risk. You might think you might not have the skills or the experience, but that might be good because then they can give you some of that. If you just have a little piece, that'll get your foot in the door and that can help you see what's in there. That leads back to what you were telling your son, take that initiative and try it. Once you get in there, open that door and see what else is out there. I think that's the way to look at it.
For
Yeah.
sure. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Again, I've
Yeah.
seen it more times than I can count where individuals coming outside the industry can go ahead and create positive change coming into our industry
Yeah.
and being extremely successful.
It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you end up.
Yes.
And then you have a little fun along the way.
Enjoy the travels along the way, right?
And there's going to be ups and downs and roadblocks, and just find help, find resources and mentors and coaches. I always tell my kids, one door closes, another one opens. Take that life experience, that learning, and be around the right people. That's going to help you with your career and in the industry.
For sure. I'll say this. I come from a generation, and I think Jeff, you probably from the same similar generation as well. I hear from my parents all the time, right? They're like, yo, you need to go ahead and spend time at that job. You want to get your pension in place. I'm like, they don't do pensions any. They're going to exist unless I'm working in the government side.
Yeah, exactly.
And nowadays you see people jumping around a lot more. I will admit, over my 25 years, I have worked for multiple companies, and a lot of times you see that, right? You see people leave this company to go this company, or see them go from the manufacturing side to the operator side. There's definitely pros and cons to doing that. I tend to look at the positive side of that more. What I've done it, I did it because I was looking for opportunities to grow. I was at a particular point in my career that I could continue doing things that company's way, but I knew there were other ways to do things.
Right.
So taking the opportunity to understand how another business looks to address a specific task or a specific goal helped me become a bit more of a broad-minded individual when I'm looking at product management methodologies and tasks and disciplines. So.
Right. I love that, because that leads into my next question. Innovation and thinking out of the box and getting rid of these invisible barriers. Where do you see Black ownership, a casino 100% Black owned on Las Vegas Boulevard in our near future?
You'd be surprised, but that has already existed in our past, right?
Right, I know.
Specifically in Nevada, we had one of the very first Black-owned casinos for the longest time. And I'm really hopeful that that will come back. That there are several Black leaders within our organization today in the gaming industry, managing casinos, managing casino floors, managing industries. So I definitely see that that's going to be happening in the very near future. And I'm really excited about that opportunity, because it's then going to help show and reinforce some of the messaging I'm passing on to my kids and family members. Definitely believe that that's going to happen very soon.
Yeah. Every time I go down there, they're building something new, something bigger, something bolder. And, we need our piece of the pie.
Yes, we do, right? That's always the interesting part of the conversation. Just looking at how Black men and women are treated in the business space. But I will say that I am starting to see a positive change in that, where some of the challenges that I know that my parents had to go through, that is not as much there for me. And the expectation that I'm hoping and what I'm starting to go ahead and see happen is that that's going to be less and less for my kids as well.
Just by talking to you, I had a whole list of questions here. We've kind of weaved our way through inclusivity within the industry, barriers for younger Black folks getting in there, and even those who've been around for a little while, what it takes to get into the industry as an African-American and become into leadership roles and be seen and have a voice heard. I really enjoyed our conversation. You kind of just discussed it. Your experience, I think, has really helped people who are listening to understand that there's opportunities. And the future looks bright, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. So, Jeff, and I appreciate the comments that you made. The role that I've taken is that I've been very blessed and lucky over the last couple of years. I want to make sure that I give the opportunity to go ahead and pay that forward. Anything that I can do to help that next generation understand and be successful, I want to go ahead and do, because that was done for me. I just want to pay it forward as much as I can.
Good. Well, I want to thank you. Is there any last final words you want to say to our audience out here besides come visit Vegas?
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and chat with you. AAG is something that's very important to me. I think that the opportunities that we have to collaborate and partner to one another and establish our voice in the community is a huge thing. Yeah. We see the impact that's being had by women getting together and creating more of a voice for them. I think that we can do something equally as powerful as African Americans in North America. But I also would say I don't want to limit that to North America. Here at IGT, we created a diversity and inclusion group that we call ACE at IGT. It's called it translates to Advancing Culture Education. But we're doing it global, right? Because we know there are more than just African Americans here in the
Yeah.
United States. There are
Yeah.
Black people outside, and their experiences, while similar, are different. And we need to understand that and help support them as well. So definitely look forward to AAG growing, not just here in North America, but globally as well. And appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with you and share my story and my experiences at this point in time.
Yeah. Very enlightening, my friend. Very enlightening. And next time I'm in Vegas, I'll look you up. I want to thank you, Darnell, for being on the show. And I thank you for sharing your knowledge. I think this has been very insightful. It's Black History Month. There's a lot of things changing out in the world, and we need to be ready for it. And I think AAG is, leading that, seeing what's out there, opportunities. We're having more shows like this and people on like Darnell to share their wisdom and to get us all moving forward in our communities. So I want to thank you, my friend. Thank you to Wondr and the AAG. Be sure to look for future shows like this. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Level Up with Wondr, the AAG Takeover. My name is Jeff Gray, and I have a distinguished guest here, Rose Hudson. Good morning, Rose. How are you?
Hello there. Good to be with you.
Hi. Thank you for joining us on our show today. Rose is the president and CEO of Louisiana Lottery Corporation, and she's going to talk to us today about how she got there, what some challenges are in this industry for women of color, for men of color, and how she got to where she is the leader up there at the Lottery Corporation. So, Rose, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start? Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. Good to be with you. I am an oddity, I guess, in terms of I am a Louisiana girl. As much as I desired to leave Louisiana after I finished college and graduate school, it was not to be. And I guess the end story is that it worked out pretty good. College in New Orleans, graduate school here in Baton Rouge at LSU, worked for the legislature throughout graduate school, and ultimately made some connections in that space that caused my career to kind of take off, doing some state work and ultimately being a part of the startup of the Louisiana Lottery Corporation. Left and came back as a senior vice president and ultimately became president.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Many hats, many journeys.
Yes, HR is my background. I came back to the lottery as SVP of HR, but because of the governmental relations background, I was doing that as well. So it was really too much to fit on a business card.
I'd imagine. Wow. So from Louisiana, I love New Orleans. I was just down there about 8 months ago or so. Love it.
Got to come back. That's the city of my birth. I was born in New Orleans and
I love
undergrad
it.
there.
The food, the atmosphere, Bourbon Street. Awesome. So we're here with AAG, African Americans in Gaming, and you've had a lot of hats, a long career. Can you tell us, I know you're the president of the Lottery Corporation right now, but
Correct.
before that, as a young Black woman trying to make your way through all of these industries, how did you get to where you are? Mentors, challenges, roadblocks? Tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are.
So challenges, yes. Mentors, a few. Roadblocks, amen. There were a number of people who kind of supported me, advocated for me, particularly in my first role outside of when I was leaving graduate school. I worked for the Louisiana legislature. So there were a number of legislators there that could see I wasn't working in the best environment at that time. We were not seen as folks who could be in that financial arena. So when this role came up, working as a part of the startup of the lottery, there were a number of people that said, yeah, she can handle this. Please go take that role. It literally was a startup, which is a really fun thing to do. It was a really fun opportunity, and I'm grateful for those folks that said, yeah, she can handle that. And there's been a series of those kind of people along the way, not folks that I had selected or had some overt conversation. Will you mentor me? Will you be a part of my journey? But just someone that stuck a hand up and said, yeah, I've got an idea of who could handle that role. And I've been the beneficiary of that in a number of ways. A number of roles. It was kind of what they talk about preparation meeting opportunity is really what happened in so many instances. It's been tough. There were many situations and circumstances when I wasn't sure,
Yeah.
and perhaps it was time to take a step away.
Right.
Um, but I'm grateful for those who helped me see what patience, grace, emotional intelligence could look like in
Yeah.
some of those difficult situations, particularly when you don't have people who look like you to model those behaviors. So I'm looking kind of outside of the traditional for me, and I did not see me, but grateful for those who did not look like me, but nevertheless were served as role models and advocates anyway.
Yeah. That's beautiful. You said a lot of things there, a lot of nuggets of knowledge for the audience. Perseverance, being ready all the time. And you never know when opportunity is going to shine you in the face. Be ready.
You be ready. I mean, having your toolkit packed and, we talk about your head on swivel. Sometimes that's used as a defensive, but I think of
Yeah.
that as kind of looking around and
Yeah.
always surveying the landscape and being ready for that next step or the next 2 or 3 steps.
Right. I love that. Always being ready. And one other thing you just said there is when you're ready to quit and you're thinking, oh man, that's when usually something else just happens.
That's it.
Some other light switch turns on and you go, it's not always a straight road. So tell us, what exactly do you do? Are you expanding lottery gaming in Louisiana? What's your role? What are you trying to accomplish there?
My goodness, we're having such a good time. We exist to provide K-12 educational funding. And part of our mission says to maximize revenue for the state of Louisiana. So we're always looking at not just running a lottery, but how do we run a better lottery? How do we responsibly continue to provide that revenue that the state of Louisiana has really gotten accustomed to? We are, of course, looking to what technological innovations are out there that we can use. We're concerned about next generation lottery players. Consumers behave very differently
Yeah.
than your mom or daddy's lottery player. We're doing some exciting stuff with experiential marketing. I kind of use my informal focus group, i.e. my adult children, to tell me a little bit about what are they interested in. And experiences are really important to them. So it's whether, I went to a Luke Combs concert as a part of a scratch off ticket that we did. Big deal. We're doing something with the Golden Nugget Casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Right.
Big opportunity there. They're paired with our scratch off tickets, and we're really seeing some good numbers from that. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking to do to be innovative. We're working with Walmart on a big partnership I'm really excited about.
Wow.
Going into Walmart stores. Some lotteries are already in Walmart. We're looking to go into Walmart in a different way and really sell tickets out of their point of sale, so out of the register.
Wow.
Yeah, we're having a good time with that as well. My tech team is working really hard.
Got to be using that innovation.
That's right.
Awesome. So I love what you're saying because you're right. The younger generation is looking for short-term, quick hits. Everything's now. So being Black History Month on this podcast in February 2025, what would you say to younger people of color, men, women, youngsters, really anyone, to get into your industry? What would you tell them to do and how to move up to where you are and have a career path?
I'm grateful to connect with young people, whether it be through some of my social organizations or civic organizations.
Right.
Mentoring young folks in high school, particularly first generation, attempting to go to college. It is about helping them see the benefit of getting everything, squeezing everything out of that education and that educational experience.
Right.
Getting them into internships and, exposure to the world of work. It does not have to necessarily be you want to be a banker, and so let's get you an internship in a bank, although that's wonderful. But getting exposure into the world of work, what are the spoken and unspoken rules? What does it look like to be a professional? The earlier we can expose our kids to that and help them assimilate, the better.
Yeah.
And I really love the opportunity to say to them, you can do anything. I know it's so trite, but they really can. And they're, kind of showing me reverse learning.
Yeah, I hear you.
But really trying to get them to, I think that is so key, is that exposure, because there's only so much you can learn in the classroom.
Yeah. In our organization, we do consulting and operations management stuff, and we have MBAs that come in. Some of them say, I've learned more working with you guys for 6 months
Yeah,
than in the last 2 years reading all these books.
yeah,
Because I've taken the concepts and now I see how they really apply. We make them do
yes.
the work, the marketing, the podcast. We make them visit clients we engage them, and they're like the real world. And I like what you said, I'm learning from them.
There are lots of things I've had to learn about, using our apps and everything, how quickly they can help me learn some things, particularly in the technology space.
I love what you said too, is just get out there. Even if you want to be a banker or finance or something, there's opportunities in the gaming industry. And for African Americans in the gaming industry, there's technology, there's marketing, there's food and beverage,
Right.
there's lottery.
For those people who are in those positions already,
Yeah.
to wrap their arms around the opportunities to bring some along. I used to wear this T-shirt, each one teach one. And
Yeah.
that is key.
Yeah.
We are the holders and the keepers of this knowledge, these experiences, and these
Right.
opportunities. And it's vital that we share that.
Right. Right. I agree. Especially with your background. I'm sure you've had, with what you're doing now, challenges with governments and agencies and moving the bar. What have you been doing there?
Yeah, I'm glad to be more affiliated with the state
Yeah.
now, as opposed to directly working in that
Yeah.
environment. It's very slow, very plodding process, and not really friendly for growth and innovation, personal growth, and overall, your innovative ideas are not necessarily welcome. And
Oh,
so it can really put a damper on your spirit. I've had some questioning of, do I belong?
right.
Even now, I get questions about, should I be?
Yeah.
Who died and left her to have this role? I still get it. I still get it.
I love that. Wow. You've got a lot of experiences and a lot of challenges you've overcome. And I like your sense of humor.
Jeff, it's important.
It is when you wake up every day and, say, hey, thank you, Lord. Let's have a good day.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds trite, but life is not without challenges. And on that roller coaster, there's the dips. But I do believe I have a responsibility, particularly to my team here. They look to me for guidance, for inspiration, for that leadership. And so I have to be that person.
Right.
I have to be that person for them.
Right.
And then, of course, we spend so much time together. You will hear a lot of laughter here, even if we're in the middle of some craziness
Right.
with audits or some of those partnerships. I want them to enjoy what they do. You spend a lot of time doing it, so you might as well.
I agree. You got to have fun. Your 30 of your life is with each other, maybe even
Right.
more after work too. So
Yeah,
you have to enjoy the environment.
that's right.
That's part of the creativity. Even though you might not even know you're coaching people, they're learning from you, just how you act and how you approach different situations. And that's that mentoring piece
That's it.
that everybody brings. Very cool. So how do you see African Americans expanding in the gaming arena? Have you have any vision or thought about that?
When you look at the gaming space, the lottery space, I guess, is different, of course, from perhaps your casino space.
Right.
But in the
Right.
lottery industry, I've talked about this until I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
The corporations we do business with don't have people that look like me at the
Mhm.
upper echelons making those decisions. Who's coming to visit me as we talk about new games, new opportunities, new
Right.
partnerships? I don't have people that look like me. I think that's detrimental. We know businesses do well when there's good diversity at the table. I still believe that no matter what the rhetoric is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's unfortunate that, perhaps the future of these businesses still doesn't look like America.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. You're right. And you're missing a lot of pieces of the puzzle. The growth, the innovation, the thinking differently. That's why I like working with all types of people. I mean, I've been all over the planet. I've worked with people in Europe, Asia, all over the US. Some look like us at the top, and some only look like us at the bottom. And
Yeah.
there's a little bit in between. So
Right.
we
Right.
have to share that because it's, like you say, it's America.
Yes. Yes.
we're stifling ourselves, I think, when we don't embrace different
Absolutely.
ideas. If you
Absolutely.
keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. You've got to change. You've got to evolve.
Yeah. I look around my leadership table and so excited about looking at all of these faces, second, third generation college graduates versus
Right.
somebody who just barely got out of college and came from a very different background. Younger folks with very different life experiences versus my more seasoned professional.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, in all versions of diversity, when you see it and you have everyone at the table and everyone has permission to be
Yeah.
who they are at the table,
Yeah.
there's good stuff that comes out of that.
I agree. I agree. I hope all of our listeners out there agree, no matter who they are and where they're from and what they're doing. I love this conversation. This is great. Is there any nuggets of knowledge you want to share with the audience about gaming, being woman of color in this industry?
In the lottery industry, we're unique in that we're a corporation. So I report to a board of directors. That pathway is very different as
Yeah.
opposed to some other lotteries that are state agencies. The lottery president or director would come through the governor's office or some state agency,
Right.
and that selection process has not lent itself to good diversity.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see people become interested in that path and decision makers really opening themselves up to what that could look like.
Yeah. I really like that. You
Yeah.
said it. Yeah, it's what we need. I love that. This is great. You talked about getting a mentor, education as being crucial, and just getting your foot somewhere and then maybe make that turn. That pathway is always winding.
Yeah.
I tell my kids when one door closes, another one open, be ready
Be ready for it. Keep your toolkit packed.
and always be looking and learning because the world now is moving fast.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like is learning new things. I'm a little bit hesitant. I let people kind of show me and they do first, but then when it connects and I get it, then I'll take it
I'm on it.
on. But,
I'm on it.
you know,
One of the things I ask as I'm sitting with some of these informal mentees, one of the first questions I ask is, what are you reading? I had one lady, she actually told me People magazine. And I said, well, okay, that's probably fine because it's kind of fairs, but let's go a little deeper. Sometimes I was teasing someone talking about book club and how I'm reading several books at one time all the time. One for for development and a couple maybe fiction books. And so
right.
things get confused, but it's still my point is it is so important.
Keep that in mind.
Always learning. Always
Oh,
learning.
I love, you are great. Full of knowledge. I love just talking about the experience and the challenges and having a good time. We know there's tough times. We know there's
That's right.
roadblocks. We know
Right.
there's things, but just sharing how you get over in a nice conversation lets people understand that you can do it. You can get in this gaming industry as black or brown, woman, man, whatever.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's opportunities to expand and to grow and to network
That's right.
and to find your way. And you being in government and now in business and leading it is a sure way to say, hey, I can do it. I might start here, but
Yes.
there's
a way.
Yeah.
There's a way. Utilizing some of those folks that are already in the industry. Special plea for those folks in the industry to go grab somebody and bring them along.
And so where do you see your organization in the next 3 years, 5 years? What's your vision? Where are you taking this?
Well, we're sitting down in the next few months to plot that out. I see us really taking a big leap, hopefully with internet lottery. That's
Oh.
something that some states have that we don't have. To move forward with that, we've got to have a legislative fix for that. I'm really hoping that we can do that. And that then takes us into the digital ticket space, meeting some of those
Yeah.
demographics where they are.
That's true because nowadays you see everybody 40 and under, that phone is glued to them. Is the state of Louisiana kind of behind the times? Is that what you're pushing up against?
It's a legislative policy fix.
Right.
That law was put into place some years ago to prevent us from operating in the online space, even before the internet was really as robust as it is now.
Yeah.
And so we would just like to, we're trying to make the case that this is something our customers want. We can do this safely and responsibly. Over the past several years, I've tried and failed. So I'm, learn a little bit every time I fail. So we're trying again this year. Ultimately, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, when you're talking and moving, a big cruise ship like that, and they wanted to turn a different direction, it takes a little time, but it's also, you're helping the community. You're doing all of those good things with that. Plus, it's safe.
That's right. I mean, we've got a retailer base of almost 3,000 retailers. And so that's an economic engine
Yes.
right there.
Right.
The money that goes into those convenience stores, those grocery stores, et cetera. And then, upcoming Walmarts.
You just remind me of one thing is when I do travel, I do buy lotto tickets in different spots.
I call it market
Probably-
research. Every state I go to, even when I'm out of the country, I find a little store to buy lottery tickets.
Like in Europe, their gaming stuff is really interesting, and their little kiosk and stuff. I thought
That's
that was
right.
interesting. A lot of horse racing. It's weird how different areas have different gaming
That's right.
abilities or whatever the word I'm looking for, but they do things. Yeah.
And in some places, they also have kind of a different sensibility about gaming.
Yeah.
Internet gaming has existed in Europe well before here. And that's because they kind of see it a little bit different. We want people to do it responsibly. We want it to be age appropriate. So let's do it.
And in Europe, in London, when I was over there last time, they're everywhere. They're on every corner. Little places you just walk in and get your game on.
That's right.
So I have had a great time.
I appreciate it.
We've talked about your path, where the Lottery Corporation is going, mentor, your future, the vision, women in gaming. I think just through our conversation, we've kind of covered them. I hope our audience loved our conversation too.
I hope so too. I look forward to hearing that. Sometimes I get feedback from folks around the country. So I hope I get a little bit of feedback from your listeners and viewers.
I want to thank you and thank our listeners for joining today. This is Level Up with Wondr, the AAG Takeover with Jeff Gray and our friend here, Rose Hudson, down in Louisiana, New Orleans, one of my favorite cities. I want to thank everyone and stay tuned for upcoming episodes with us on Wondr, and have a good day. Thank you, my friend, for joining us.
What amazing sessions. I just want to say thank you again to AAG for the partnership on this podcast, and a very special thank you to Jeff Gray for serving as our guest host. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Deani, and thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show and our awesome guests. I hope you took away some nuggets of knowledge that'll help you out there in the Black industries, the gaming industries, hospitality, and in any other industry you might be out there. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Jeff Gray. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you. And I would be remiss if I did not send a hearty thank you to our guests for taking the time to be featured on this podcast. And from Wondr Nation, we are very proud to shine a light on Black leaders making an impact in the gaming industry this month and all year round. And if this is your first time listening to Level Up with Wondr, we have had some amazing conversations over the past year. So please take a listen, subscribe, or follow to listen and learn more. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Level Up with Wondr. Visit wondrnation.com/level up for more podcast episodes about how we're reimagining the gaming entertainment industry. Visit our contact page at wondrnation.com to inquire about our strategic consulting or management services.